Trump gave another one of his Rose Garden press conferences, and because it's Donald Trump, you can expect a couple of different things. Despite it being a press conference, there will be very few questions answered from reporters, and also he's going to bend it to his own will. And so take a look at this first clip where it becomes very quickly not about China and trade, but about his opponent, Joe Biden.
America lost nearly 10,000 factories while Joe Biden was vice president. Think of that, 10,000 factories. He wrote something today and he made a statement today that I wrote down. It's pretty accurate. So Biden was here for 47 years, 8 years, the last 8 years, not long ago as vice president. He said, 1 in 5 miles of our highways are still in poor condition. Well, we're doing a good job on highways, but why didn't he fix them 3 years ago? Why didn't he fix them? Tens of thousands of bridges are in disrepair and on the verge of collapse. Well, it's probably not a right number, but we have bridges that should have been fixed. Why didn't he fix them? High-speed broadband. We want high-speed broadband. Well, why didn't he get it? 3 years ago is not a long time. And he didn't do any of the things, but now he says he's going to be president, and as president, he's going to do all the things that he didn't do. Never did anything except make very bad decisions.
Yeah, 3 years ago wasn't that long ago. It's recent enough that I can actually remember what year it was. It was 2017. He wasn't in office. But anyway, Ben, to the substance of his attacks, Trump trying to turn this into a thing about infrastructure, that seems more mature than the attacks I would have expected from him against Biden.
Yeah, I don't know if there was something else that's coming behind that, because it's still, I mean, it's still the height of absurdity, right? So Donald Trump is admitting that these are also things that he hasn't done in the last 3.5 years, right? These are things that he hasn't accomplished in his administration. So I'm not really sure what the logic was to this attack, saying that he didn't get it done. Well, what have you done in this time besides throwing us into a depression era unemployment, into a full-blown pandemic? So I don't know if he really wants to get to a tit for tat in terms of whose administration did what.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, in this particular way, like the term infrastructure week has become a joke during the Trump administration. And so I guess because the pandemic is obviously as rough as it is, and Trump hasn't seemed to care about that for a long time, and his reaction to the protests has been so offensive from floor to ceiling, I guess he needs something new. Why shouldn't it be another infrastructure week? But I will say, and there is more coming, by the way, you were wise to assume that. If it was going to be, you know what? Let's have the next 4 months be a critical analysis of what the Obama administration promised and what they delivered in terms of infrastructure, in terms of many different things. And let's have Trump and Biden go back and forth making promises about what they're gonna actually deliver for the American people. I don't think that that's what the attacks were about. I don't think that it is him about to launch into, and here's all of what I'm gonna do. We're gonna make millions of jobs by rebuilding all these bridges and everything. But it would be nice, the thought that the election was going to be based on the actual substance.
Yeah, you actually gave me a second of hope for America. If that's actually what they turned this into, that's a substantive debate. Honestly, I don't know when the last time we had a presidential campaign like that. So here's to wishful thinking. I'm on the same side as you. I would hope that would be what's coming.
I would hope, but unfortunately what's coming is Biden's plan to abolish the suburbs or something. I don't know, let's hear the president try to explain it.
Abolish in the suburbs. You're going to abolish the suburbs with this. Enforce Obama-Biden's radical AFFH. That's the AFFH regulation that threatens to strip localities of federal affordable housing funds unless they change their zoning laws to fit the federal government's demands. So what you have, I mean, I've been watching this for years in Westchester, coming from New York. They want low-income housing built in a neighborhood. Well, I'm ending that rule. I'm taking it out. So I spoke with Ben Carson the other day. We're going to be taking it out. I've watched that whole thing go, and now they want to make it twice as bad in the suburbs. In the suburbs. Mothers aren't happy about that. Fathers aren't happy about that. They worked hard to buy a house, and now they're going to watch the housing values drop like a rock, and that has happened.
So he very quickly found a way to make infrastructure week about what he really wants to campaign on, which is demonizing certain types of people.
Yeah. He took a beeline straight into the dog whistles that his base loves, right? He knows his base. Let's be sure about it. He's not just saying these things because he's a bigot. He's saying these things because he knows the bigotry that's at the core of his base, and this fear mongering, this vilification of talking about getting rid of the suburbs. What he's actually talking about, honestly, he's talking about integration in a certain way, because he's trying to make people afraid that minorities, probably specifically black people, are coming to invade your communities. And this is straight out of the 1960s, man. You can't get any more dog whistling bullhorn than that.
Yeah, and look, I will give Trump enough credit that I assume he wouldn't want to live near really poor white people either. But I think we know what he's getting at there. Yeah. And you're 100% right, because they say abolish the suburbs, and I actually found the article. I forget which right-wing website it's from. Some guy who had written a book that was about how the Dems were going to abolish the suburbs. He wrote it a few years ago. Now is out there looking for any justification in anything that the Dems are doing to say that that's what they're doing again. That was picked up by Fox News, and now Trump is just saying it. He doesn't really understand it, but they're not even trying to imply that Joe Biden is going to demolish the suburbs. He means just change them in some way, some fundamental way. And suburbs to Trump are not outside of city centers. They're like the last bastion of a certain sort of community. Yeah. And I have a feeling, I mean, hopefully this sort of messaging isn't successful, but I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, oh no, he knows his base, but he also, I mean, you mentioned that he wouldn't live next to poor white people either. The irony is that Trump would never live in the suburbs in the first place, right? That's not even his cup of tea, Well, his thing really is the metropolitan style living, and so he's speaking like as though he has something in common with these people, but the people that he's stirring up this racist bigotry in, he has no commonality with them except for skin color, perhaps.
Exactly. I wish. What if we lived in a country where his base could see that, could see how little interest he would have in even a 30-second interaction with them. But they're immune to it.
We have a very strong travel ban, and we don't want people that are going to come in and blow up our cities, do things. And frankly, with the liberal Democrats running the cities that we do have, where they do have problems, maybe they wouldn't mind, but I would mind, and the people of this country mind.
No, I mean, I can only speak for LA. I don't want it to blow up. There's neighborhoods that I don't go to a lot, but I don't want any part of it to explode. Let's just be clear about that.
What did he even say though? I mean, besides blowing up the cities, I'm trying to get some grounding in an actual statement there. What was his logic? Or
it seemed vaguely anti-immigration. It seemed like. I don't know how much more specific I can be because I'm not sure that he was.
So he tied immigration to terrorism and says that the Democrats, that's what we want. Like again, there's 36% of Americans who believe this, and I don't know if there's anything that could be done about them.
Yeah, and it's not like we didn't know before Trump that the true like pervasive domestic terror threat comes from the right. You can get rid of, the part of the FBI that searches for that. That doesn't make it not true anymore. We already knew that, and then over the past few years, they have seemingly like taken it upon themselves to prove how big of a threat they are. I mean, even during these protests, who is actually committing the acts of mass violence? It's right-wingers who are infiltrating these events, but they have to continue to pretend that it's Antifa, or maybe it's an immigrant or somebody coming over the southern border. It hasn't been true, but they're going to continue to say it. This is just getting ready for another caravan in September or October, basically.
Right. The difference is though, is that I don't know how many people are actually going to keep trying to come to America with our COVID-19 outbreaks and the borders being closed from the opposite side. But really, it does speak to the desperate nature of this bigotry that's latent inside of Donald Trump, and that the fact that they create a boogeyman to scare their base when the boogeyman really is their base.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I'm sure literally everyone in media has acknowledged it, but the idea that this time in America began with him promising to build a wall, and ends with Mexico and Canada walling us off.
Yes.
Seems sort of
the
perfect,
irony. Yeah,
in a way.
That's the only thing poetic about 2020 at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. It could be, poetry can be tragic.
Yeah.
But anyway, the entire idea that this press conference at the White House becomes a campaign speech against Joe Biden, that bothers me because it's not what the purpose of it is. I mean, he can campaign and he will. He'll have his rallies, he'll have his commercials, and he'll do interviews and all of that. It shouldn't be here, but it's not just me that this is bothering. You even have people like Bret Baier.
Presidents in the past, by tradition, have stayed away from overt campaign rhetoric from the Rose Garden or the White House, but it is the president's discretion. It is worth noting, however, to be fair, that had President Obama made this kind of speech from the Rose Garden, Republicans on Capitol Hill would likely have been up in arms.
That seems pretty clear.
I love the fact that to a certain degree, the absurdity of Donald Trump has gotten to be too much for Fox News. And this isn't in any way to like come to the defense of Fox News, because they've been pretty complicit in this devolution, right? The devolving of America. But I guess even Fox News has a place where they draw the line, or at least independent correspondents. They have their line that Donald Trump has crossed.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you would have, Shep Smith at one point would occasionally raise concerns. Bret Baier, I think, semi-regularly has. He's one of their newsmen. But I can't give them too much credit when night after night Tucker Carlson is doing monologues about how kids going back to school shouldn't wear masks. They're unscientific and all of that. I mean, it's not just propaganda. It is murderous at this point. Like, it seems designed to get people killed.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.